Good morning, shooters. My name's Taylor Wagner, and I'm here with Tom Berkey and Jim Bradford of the Hall of Fame. Now, Jim and Tom, if you guys could talk a little bit as to the importance of the Hall of Fame and the role it plays in trap shooting nowadays.
Well, I think it's pretty important in the sense that he said a teacher one time. I said, you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been.
Exactly.
And so I think the museum serves that purpose. And the museum was first opened in 1969, I think, in Vandalia. And here we moved in 2016 after a lot of struggles. But it's come together very well, and financially we are on top of our game. We owe a little money, but we have 2 years left on our construction note. Tonight's our banquet, and that will be a wonderful affair where we recognize some highly deserving people.
Some tremendous shooters that have been icons in the sport.
Yes, you bet, and that's what we've had most years.
Yes.
We have sometimes a contributor, somebody like Bill Hunter, or I was fortunate enough to be chosen as a contributor. But most of the people that have been inducted are icons of the sport. They dominated their state shoots, their regions, their zones,
right.
Satellite grams.
This is the goal. This is the goal of trap shooting, is that this is where everybody wants to end up. Whether
right.
you're a little kid shooting or just starting out, in your 40s, the end game is so cool to have not only that camaraderie out on the line, but to be a part of something as wonderful as the tradition of the sport.
I think that's right. And Tom was treasurer of the ATA for many, many years. He went in about
25 years.
25 years? That's about long enough.
That's about long enough.
And when Tom came in, we had about $5 in the bank, and when he left, we had about 10 or 12 million. So I mean, he made progress. He did a tremendous job for us, and I was able to strong arm him to be the treasurer of the Hall of Fame, and he pays the same close scrutiny to our money now as he did for the ATA. So, right. Tom, maybe you'd like to comment on that.
Well, actually, it was $6 million when I left, but that's all right. After 25 years, it was time to go. I'd been there long enough. And Jim asked me to be treasurer of the Hall of Fame, and Jim and I have known each other for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I agreed to that.
We're getting old now.
We're getting old. Sometimes I think we've been around too long. The Hall of Fame owes some money, but we have the ability to pay it. It's not due yet for 2 more years, and we're going to pay a substantial amount on the principal this year. We're able to do it, and that's about where we should be, really. At the end of the 2 years, we'll be completely debt free. The Hall of Fame should be with the Grand American. There's just no question about it. If it were any place else, it would not have any visitors at all, other than a half a dozen. But it does have visitors here at the Grand American, and it's
well, and what a wonderful facility too.
Yeah.
For the Grand American, what a wonderful building to pair along with it. This is the home of trap shooting.
That's correct.
It is, and I think there's a lot of controversy. Many times, some other places wanted to have the Hall of Fame. They've offered, some money, but it was not sufficient enough. And secondly, we had voted on several occasions as a board. We voted that the Hall of Fame needs to accompany the Grand American.
It does.
We didn't want to backdoor the executive committee, who have been our allies forever, and that would have been unfair and ungrateful and nonsensical.
Right.
But we were criticized for it, and that's fine. Everybody has opinions, and they're entitled to it.
But it's all worked out well.
Absolutely, it has. I mean,
it takes time to overcome hurt feelings, rejection, or whatever. People, that takes them a while. But that's, the first Grand American was held here in 2006. It's kind of time to get over your hurt feelings and
yeah.
move ahead.
Well, and there's a thing with tradition, but at the same time, the sport is growing, and everything has to grow along with it.
That's right
too. And for these new beginnings to happen, sometimes changes have to happen. And change is a scary thing for a lot of people.
People don't like change.
People do not like change,
No.
but it's what's necessary to grow the sport. It's what's necessary to grow interest in the sport, and
No, I'd like to reiterate that people don't like change. And as one guy says, don't try to confuse me with facts.
all right.
You know, they prefer to have their own viewpoint, regardless of the authenticity of it.
Right, right.
The Hall of Fame has evolved into a first-class museum.
It's a beautiful museum. When you walk in, it just hits you all at once, and
Right.
it's so cool, especially for a trap shooter. If you're a shotgun shooter, if you're into guns or ammunition, any kind of thing in this industry, you walk into this building and you really can just feel the history coming out of the walls. And I think that's one of the most remarkable things that you guys have going on here. This is our past. This is where we came from. This is what we built off of.
Our past is right here in all these books and
Right.
all these files and all the artifacts outside. And let me say one thing about that. Back in Vandalia, Judy was our executive secretary at that time, and she bought a museum software package,
Right.
and they did an inventory of every item that we had, no matter how obscure, no matter how valuable. And before that, it was on cards. If you lost a card, the artifact could easily disappear as well.
Right.
So we had a complete computerized inventory of every item. Every item has a number, so that when Tammy Daniel planned the move, we closed the museum there. Every piece was boxed and packed,
Categorized and
categorized, and it was all there when it left. And of course, it was all there when it got here 3 years later. It was in storage for nearly 3 years in a climate-controlled environment.
Right.
But the point being is, there are people who have suggested that something disappeared or whatever. Nothing disappeared, nothing was broken, nothing was damaged. And on the other hand, we don't have everything displayed that we have.
right.
We have storage rooms that are back to the gills, and we try to rotate some of it around from time to time and take this down and put this up so that everything gets its day in the sun.
Right.
That's the idea.
Right. And that's a day in the sun. That's what this is all about, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Right. Then getting to go out there and getting to shoot with lifelong friends or create new ones, and that's kind of the essence of this sport. That's what all this neat stuff out here on the other side of this wall really stands for.
Well, why don't you go out there and take a few pictures of that stuff?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming to visit us this morning.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys sitting down and letting me share this time with you.
Well, we'll probably send you an invoice for our time.
Hey, you know what? That's fine. Appreciate it.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. All right, guys, make sure that you come on down and check out the Hall of Fame building. It really is a remarkable, remarkable place. And the most important thing is it's your guys' history. It's here for you, and it's an asset that you guys should utilize. So thank you. Hope you have a good day.